Welcome to the WTR Small-Cap Spotlight podcast. I'm your host, Tim Gerdeman, Vice Chair and Co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer of Water Tower Research. In today's podcast episode, I'm joined by Peter Flippo, Director, Business Development at Avantium R&D Solutions, Euronext Amsterdam ticker symbol AVTX-NL, and US OTC ticker symbol AVTXF. Avantium RDS is a business unit within Avantium and a leading provider of advanced high-throughput catalyst testing units and services with 25 years of experience. Also joining is my WTR equity research colleague, Peter Gastreich. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you for joining today's podcast.
Good morning, Tim.
Morning, Tim. Morning, Peter.
Morning.
So, Peter, could you please give us a high-level overview of Avantium's history, business model, and its target audience?
Yeah, sure. So, Avantium was founded back in 2000 as a spin-out of Shell. And I'm actually within the Avantium R&D Solutions, or RDS, as you mentioned it previously. And this is one of the business units within Avantium. The other one is, the main one is the Renewable Polymers business. To give you a kind of background on Renewable Polymer business, they are focusing on the commercialization of FDCA and PEF. And PEF is a sustainable alternative to PET plastic. However, we focus today on the RDS business. And so the core competence of our business is, as you mentioned in the introduction, high-throughput parallel catalyst testing. And basically we have three offerings, three business lines. One is products. We sell systems to the market. And core of our portfolio are the Flowrence testing units, which offer 4 up to 60 parallel reactors for a wide range of chemistries. Secondly, we also offer services at our lab. We call it contract R&D, where customers can run projects at our labs in Amsterdam. And we do have more than 800 reactors available, and it's giving a huge flexibility for all kinds of testing purposes. And since a couple of years, we expanded our offerings with custom-made units, where we develop dedicated units for customers to meet specific R&D needs, but all based on high-throughput testing. Our customer base is global. Typical customers range from oil and gas oil and gas companies, catalyst manufacturers, refineries, SME startups, national labs, and universities. So it's pretty diverse client base. And the markets applications we are focusing on is obviously catalyst testing, but also we do on direct air capture testing, focusing on adsorbent development and also chemical recycling. Now, chemical recycling is getting more and more attention these days. And to give you a bit background about chemical recycling, it really comprises that adsorbent and catalyst screening for upgrading of heavy feedstocks, which the purpose is to be an alternative to fossil-based feedstocks for existing refinery and chemical assets. So that's in a nutshell, short background about us.
That's a great overview. And before I turn it over to Peter Gastreich to ask some questions, would you provide our listeners with just a quick flyby of your professional background, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'm holding a master's in both chemical engineering and business marketing. I'm having about 25 years of experience in the chemical and materials industry, and mainly focusing on driving commercialization of projects. I've been working for multiple companies, from startups to multinationals. And right now within Avantium RDS, I am responsible for the business development and sales of high-throughput testing solutions, and specifically also focusing on the Americas. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Peter Gastreich.
Hey, thanks, Tim. And thank you, Peter. That was a great introduction. Just going a bit further on the Avantium RDS introduction, what aspects of Avantium RDS do your customers find the most valuable? And how would you describe the competitive strengths of your testing technology?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are a couple of things to highlight here. So I guess key to our market success are we do have a proven track record for a wide range of chemical conversions. So we know what we're talking about, and we can take most of the projects and relying upon our experience. Key is acceleration of R&D. Using high throughput testing systems as an example, if you would use a single reactor for testing, you would need 7 years of testing, which we can compress in 3 months of high throughput testing. So it's really acceleration of R&D, which offer the benefits of high throughput testing. What we offer as Avantium RDS is we are recognized as the supplier of providing the highest quality of data and the highest reproducibility. And that's really key, of course, for making technical and commercial decisions when you move projects from R&D to production scale. And I think also the benefit of using high throughput testing from Avantium is that scientists, they can really focus on the content R&D, and they don't have to lose any valuable time on with execution challenges of test, of setting up equipment, etc. So it's a real asset for them as well. We test at small scale, and the data which we provide from our systems, they have been proven to be scalable to pilot and production scale. So small scale testing, you're talking about a couple of maximum 1 gram scale of catalyst volume, and the results are scalable up to a pilot and production scale. And that means also a significant cost reduction in testing as such. I mentioned before, we have extensive application knowledge, and we obviously are very good in translating customer requirements into dedicated test setup to meet the final needs of the customer for results. What we also do is for catalyst manufacturers or for refineries, we offer independent catalyst testing. And that means also that we don't own any IP, so all the research we provide, all the results we provide are owned by the customer. And last but definitely not least, and some of the companies or labs, the footprint in the lab is a real challenge. Our systems have the smallest footprint of testing equipment, and that can be a really key decision maker for some of the companies or institutes.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to turn to the sustainable aviation fuel market. And of course, that's a context for where you and I first met was, in fact, at a sustainable aviation fuel conference. But just turning to that, opportunity for Avantium in that space, could you tell us about Avantium's strategy for sustainable aviation fuel and what role the company would play in the industry?
Yeah. So as most of us are aware, there are a couple of R&D challenges in the SAF development, which are related to catalytic conversions where we can play a role. So there is a focus on the reduction of feedstock costs. Costs are key, let's say, for making a successful business case for SAF. Secondly, also conversion pathways. So how to get from feedstock to SAF components. And that's also where catalytic processes are involved. And there are also existing processes which can be further optimized to improve the business case. And you have to think of aspects like selectivity of the process, of the catalyst, tolerance to contaminants, catalyst lifetime, flexibility on feedstock variety. In all these areas, we can help customers to improve, let's say, the processes and also deal with their R&D challenges. And that's the area where we could play in the SAF arena.
Well, you mentioned Avantium's Flowrence technology in your introduction. How does Flowrence help customers accelerate their development of sustainable aviation fuel technologies, and what makes it an attractive in this growing market?
Yeah, I think I already highlighted the benefits of high throughput testing, but focusing on the SAF market and the challenges there, it's the SAF blend it composes of different components, let's say, and key is to using inexpensive resources and getting a blend of fractions which contribute to the functionality of SAF in general. And the SAF mix typically, as an example, comprises isooctanes, which are used for specific energy, and also mono and dicyclic cyclooctanes for energy density. And all these components together make that you fulfill the ASTM requirements for SAF. And getting towards these paths is, let's say, the key challenge here. We do have extensive application knowledge for each of the routes to get to a SAF mix on optimization of the process and also using the right processing conditions and making here a good efficient testing setup. I think that the testing what we run here, if you would run tests at our labs, it's 24/7 operational, and you generate lots of data, as I mentioned, high throughput testing to make decisions there. What I also can say is that we often see scientists and technologists who have been using our technology, our Flowrence technology. They appreciate the data quality and the reproducibility, and also the benefits of acceleration of research. So they do want to stick to our technology, and they also keep on promoting our systems. I think that's a really key, good advertisement for our technology as well.
And where do you see the Flowrence systems or Avantium's contract R&D services adding value in your SAF development work?
Yeah, maybe I'm a bit repeating myself here, but I think it's a combination of the knowledge of applications which we have on the conversion pathways, and the availability of a wide range of parallel reactor setup. As I mentioned, we have about 800 reactors available for all kinds of chemistries, and all these chemistries, which are key for the SAF development, can be tested at our labs here. And also, besides contract R&D, we also sell units to the market. So some of our customers, they focus on a couple of conversion pathways, and they want to have a dedicated unit in-house. So for that purpose, we also provide, we sell systems to them.
So in some of our previous podcasts that Tim and I have hosted, we've talked about quite a few different pathways for SAF. As you know, there's multiple. We're just kind of curious if you could take us through what specific SAF pathways that Avantium is pursuing.
Yeah, and it's again pretty broad, but basically, if you look at how to get to SAF blend stock, there are from non-fossil based resources. There are basically two options. Either you build a mixture in the jet range from small molecules, or you crack larger molecules to end up in the jet range. And what really makes sense depends on the availability of feedstock and also the available infrastructure. And in these areas, we support a wide range of catalytic conversions. And I can give you some examples here. Alcohol to jet, Fischer-Tropsch syngas conversions, also CO2 to hydrocarbons, hydrotreating, hydrocracking. These are typical examples of catalytic conversions which are used for getting to the SAF blend stocks. What we also see more and more, of course, topic of interest is using biomass as a feedstock for SAF blends. But biomass also brings various challenges. Obviously, you want to obtain a renewable carbon feedstock, replacing the fossil feedstock and reducing CO2 emission. But during the phase from getting biomass to SAF blends, you have an intermediate step, and that's called pyrolysis oil upgrading. So somewhere you end with pyrolysis oil, which need to be upgraded. And there are some typical R&D challenges, which are quite challenging, really challenging. So the variable feedstock composition, you have biomass and biomass, lots of variations there. Obviously, also the stability of the feedstock, viscosity during processing, solid content, corrosion of equipment, testing equipment. Due to the variation in feedstock and viscosity, you can also get plugging of the equipment. And last but definitely not least, limited availability of samples. So actually what we've done is we build a kind of testing setup here to test on small scale. Okay, how can you use pyrolysis oil as a feedstock, let's say for further upgrading. And again, we bring in here our core competence on high throughput testing. And so it's really focused on including also heavy feedstocks upgrading, and all focusing on how to get alternative feedstock for replacing fossil to existing refinery and chemical assets.
Okay, this has been a great conversation. I've really appreciated the deep dive into the sustainable aviation fuel strategy at Avantium, which I think will resonate well with our listeners. It's really, they're looking for different ways to gain access to SAF, and this is certainly a unique angle, I would say. And so again, thank you so much, Peter, for joining us. But before we pass the podcast back to Tim to wrap things up, Just wanted to leave you a chance here if there's anything else you'd like to add or any final thoughts you'd like to share.
Yeah, I think in general, everybody's aware there are lots of challenges in the SAF market. Also, the legislation driver and the market challenges, the market demand challenges to meet the regulation growth for SAF. And besides that, it also imposes a lot of challenge on the technical validation of SAF. And so we are really open to discuss on how we can help potential clients out with supporting the accelerating R&D with our high throughput testing offerings. And I'm really looking forward to touch base with interested parties, free to touch base and to have an initial discussion on okay, how can we see, is there a potential fit and how can we take it from there? So looking forward to a follow-up.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Peter. So over to you, Tim.
Well, great. This was a very interesting discussion on Avantium, and thank you, Peter Flippo, for joining us from Amsterdam today, and Peter Gastreich for joining us from Minneapolis. Best wishes for the remainder of the day, gents.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, as well as visiting www.watertowerresearch.com to stay up to speed on the company's small cap written research reports, podcasts, fireside chats, industry-specific symposiums, and conference schedules. We will see you next time for another edition of the WTR Small-Cap Spotlight podcast. Finally, a special thanks to the producer and editor of the podcast, Krista Fitzpatrick.